All right, Fabi. U.S. Championship just finished. We are just about to go to the closing ceremony. That's why we're wearing these funny suits.
Not that funny.
They're not that funny. Yeah, they're pretty decent.
We look all right.
Huh?
We look all right, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We're pretty clean. How do you feel right now? The U.S. Championship just finished. You had one day to kind of understand everything that just happened, that just transpired with your chess, with your tournament, with everything that's happening around the tournament. How are you feeling right now?
No, my tournament was fine. I didn't give it much thought after it ended. Today we had the playoffs for the women's U.S. Championship. Irina and Jennifer, we kind of speculated last night about what would happen. We thought it would be close, and I think we predicted pretty accurately. First game, Jennifer wins. It was a mess of a game, but she wins. She loses another mess second game. They go to Armageddon, which obviously is going to be completely crazy. But then on like move 8, I don't know, was it move 8 or something like that, she just hangs her bishop. I mean, bishop g4, I don't know what she missed. She drops on the square. Then she realizes, she's like,
I think she forgot that the knight is on f3. The knight is not on f3.
I wasn't sure. I thought maybe she thought her knight was on f6.
Ah, that's also a good
like,
point.
who knows? And then, okay, I basically tuned out, like this is over. And then I stopped watching, but I was there watching live, right? When you were doing commentary. And then at some point, like, people start saying, oh, it's not so easy anymore. Bishop h2.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but bishop h2, you take, and you end up with 1,000,000 pieces for the queen.
Right. You're still somehow winning.
But still, it was like, okay, it's not just a piece up anymore. I mean, when you're piece up, you don't have to think about the position. You just move, the piece wins by its own.
Once I saw g4, I thought she might actually come back.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
Huh?
You said that in the broadcast, like g4,
so.
and you started
I said that this is not easy anymore.
You started to get scared for Irina. I still didn't understand it. Thinking, okay, g4, you trade all the rooks on the f-file, you move your queen f3, g5, I mean, okay. But then bishop h2 happened, okay, already something. Then suddenly it was unclear. I don't know why Jennifer didn't take the pawn in a2. Thought, she starts collecting pawns and lets Irina worry about how to mate the king. Well, maybe she will, maybe she won't. Also, they were both down to, like, I don't know, under a minute for no increment until move 60. Then suddenly she's winning again. They both have equal time. I'm thinking, okay, this game is going to be over again. But then they're nearly flagging at the end. Irina doesn't manage to mate her. They're both moving a little bit slowly.
Yeah, that was the weird part for me because they must have known that there's no increment up until move 61. And actually there was this, and this is the first time I'm seeing it, they set up a table for a laptop so that one of the players can actually see when the moves are being done, like when 61 move, the 61st move comes. Because the way the board was set up is Jennifer could see on the screen the move numbers, but Irina couldn't.
Because Jennifer is facing the demonstration boards, or the virtual demonstration boards.
But Irina couldn't see. So they set up this like beautiful table for a laptop.
Yeah.
It was very weird to me. It was the first time I'm seeing it.
It makes sense because this is such an important part of Armageddon that you need to know when you'll get your increment so you don't flag.
But she was playing so slow, Irina, that is.
Yeah, I think they were just both frozen by the stress of the situation.
You think it was just stress?
I mean, it's a lot of money riding on a single Armageddon game.
10,000.
And the title, the prestige, everything.
I think it's mostly about the title at that point. 10,000 here and there. It's
I don't know. I mean,
not that bad about the title.
10,000 is still a decent amount of money, especially, let's say Jennifer's like a college student.
Yeah.
She's not even like a professional chess player. I mean, she's mostly, I guess, pursuing an academic career in something else. So 10 grand, I mean, that can go a long way for a lot of people. And for Irina, I'm sure as well. But yeah, the title also, Irina, I think she holds a record, right, with 8? So it's always...
No.
Is it tied at 8?
Yeah. I think she's...
Oh, so this would break the record. So
no, I actually think she's behind a previous US champion. I don't remember exactly her name.
Okay,
but I think we were discussing, and if she makes it to the 9th title, she's going to tie her.
Okay. Well, that's some extra motivation, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. She must really be kicking herself. I mean, that was a slam dunk. Just the game was over.
Bishop g4.
Just, I mean, not only are you up a piece, but you have a time advantage. And then at some point, she lost her time advantage.
Yeah.
You don't have to calculate, just make moves. Just
well, that's actually how she lost. She lost on time.
Yeah, but
She
like,
even lost.
but also the position.
Was she
I mean,
losing in the
no,
position?
not that she was losing, but the position became unclear.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, at the end, I don't think she's any better because the g5 pawn fell, and
Yeah.
suddenly black has a huge amount of pawns. But yeah, just I mean, once you're up to piece, it's not even just that the position is winning; it's that you have no stress. Your opponent can't do anything. You don't have to worry, calculate stuff, get into time trouble. You can just move freely. So yeah, I don't know why. I think she was just being a perfectionist.
It somehow reminds me of actually your game against Jeffrey Chung, I think, from the American Cup,
Mm-hmm.
when he was also completely winning with black pieces, but he was making his moves like
Very slowly.
super slowly, the
Yeah.
way he usually does it.
Yeah.
And he flagged because of that. No, at that point, I think you just have to like rely on your instincts and just play as
Yeah,
fast as
just move.
possible.
Yeah.
It's just about the time. Of course, it can turn into a complete mess, and then you start throwing pieces. We've seen that so many times,
Mhm.
but competition is competition, and then at that point, you have to give your best in that regard. But at the same time, as you were mentioning, probably she was just frozen. You have your speech ready. We're about to go to the closing.
I don't prepare speeches.
Yeah.
I'll just talk,
Just wing it.
say some shit. I don't know.
Thank the right people. Yeah, we tried to get Jennifer on the podcast, the U.S. Women's Champion, but it was so tight the schedule that
Mhm.
she just has to get
Yeah.
ready, and maybe we'll get her at some point.
It's a bit too tight with the closing ceremony so soon after.
Yeah, I
If she
cannot
had won
believe
before the playoff, if there had not been a playoff,
Yes,
then I'm sure we would have been able to manage it. But it was a bit too last minute.
I think so too. All right, let's talk about your U.S. Championship. What was the toughest moment in your opinion during the U.S. Champs?
It was strange. I don't feel like there were really tough moments because there should have been.
Yeah.
Someone should have started to make a move at near the end of the tournament because I just drew my last like whatever it was 6 games. I don't know.
6 games, huh?
I mean,
That high?
I was not making any progress in my tournament, and they just let me coast. It was
I
strange.
think you and Ray were like half a point difference for the last at least 4 games,
yeah.
something like that.
Mhm. Like I remember in 2018, I was tied with Sam for most of the tournament, and then he just pulled ahead so much. Like I think I mentioned this that I wouldn't go 2.5 out of the last 3, and it's not enough
Mm.
when we're tied 3
Mm.
rounds before. So usually people just start to make a move at the end, but in this tournament it didn't seem like anyone was able to. And if I have to like say the most difficult moment, it was probably after I messed up against the Wonder and didn't win that game, and just psychologically I had to recover a bit from that. And I also wasn't getting chances. It was very frustrating against Chris for you that he just played this totally safe line.
Super safe
Didn't
line.
give me any chances. And also Shankland didn't give me any chances. So that was frustrating, but I can't say it's like a difficult moment. I was never in serious danger of losing those games.
What about the first game against Dominguez?
The most danger I was in. But to call it a difficult moment, the first round, I mean...
Did you feel it? Did you feel like you were in danger?
Yeah, I did. I
did,
felt like
yeah?
I was borderline losing that game.
I think the engine at some point was saying like -2 or something like that.
I don't
for
know
him.
if it was that high, but...
Probably
it was,
with a weaker engine, it was like -2.
It was quite dangerous. But again, the first round, what can you say?
Yeah.
I mean, like if you lose that game or win that game, it doesn't guarantee anything either way. Of course, it's better not to start on a loss, but I don't think that would have dramatically changed my tournament.
It does kind of set up the pace, though, right? For a
little
tournament,
bit.
especially if you lose.
Yeah.
Like draw is fine. Draw, nothing actually changes. You're not in. And I think after that you won in the second round. Is that it? I think
I
you
don't
won
think
in the
so.
second round.
Wait, well, let me try to remember now.
Let's figure it out.
I don't believe so. I believe I beat Spirich in the third round, and I drew Ray in the second round with black.
Got it. So I think, and after the third round, I think nobody had 2.5 points, right?
I mean, I could say
Up
that
to
my
3.
most difficult game was against Hans, just because it was the longest one, the most stressful. Not that I was in danger, but I was definitely in danger of missing the win. And it was a very tiring game, so I would probably point to that game as my most difficult and stressful one, but not in the sense that I was ever at risk of losing it.
Did you feel at any point that you were running out of energy? You mentioned that you were cruising the last few rounds. Did you feel like you were running out of energy?
I felt a bit tired, but not out of energy. I didn't feel like I was, let's say, being drained or anything.
Yeah.
And I kept decent quality. I mean, against Shanklin, let's say I was under some pressure, but I kept a decent quality in that game. Managed to control the situation. Same against Christopher, rather unpleasant opening, slightly unpleasant position, which he knew better than I did, but still managed to keep that under control. So I definitely avoided a collapse, which was quite important. I mean, also Ray avoided a collapse, but
That last game.
I mean,
against Jeffrey.
he choked at that moment
Yeah.
when he played Queen B1, and then I thought he would lose the game because his position was very, very bad. But he saved it. It was important for him because otherwise, huge tie for second.
Huge.
If he hadn't saved that game,
Yeah, I think. He still is second, right? Even if he.
he would tie.
Well, it's a tie.
I think he would
second
tie
through
with
the
Jeffrey,
sixth, I think.
Jeffrey,
Jeffrey,
Lanier.
Sam? No, Sam.
No,
Sevian.
a wonder.
A wonder, yes.
Not Sevian, I don't think. 'Cause
Not
Sevian-
Hans. Hans finished
Hans
on
plus
+1.
I think it would be those people.
Yeah, that's
Lanier,
pretty big tie.
Jeffrey, Ray, and a wonder, which is 4 people,
4 people.
second through 5th place.
What about Sam?
Sam Sevian?
Shanklin.
No, Sam Shanklin wasn't +2.
Just +1. Yeah.
I think
he finished
+1.
+1.
He beat Christopher and he beat Elshon and he lost to Wesley. That was
Yeah.
his tournament. The rest was a draw.
Yeah, no, that was a big one for him. Last game against Aronian, that was an interesting one. How was your? I mean, you're good buddies with Lev, right? And you mentioned something at the end during our interview. You mentioned that, given his circumstances, what were the circumstances? And I'm pretty sure at this point, probably.
Yeah, I guess it's not too private.
I don't think it's that private.
So I know Lev pretty well, and he's been expecting a child this year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly sure when it would happen, but it just happened to be the last round that she was, she
Close to it,
she
yeah.
went to the hospital to give birth, and I don't know exactly the timing. I don't know exactly, but this was basically the last game. So when I found out, I was like, okay, I just can't play this game. I mean, his mind
You had to make
is
a
not going to be
decision.
on the game
Yeah.
at all. It obviously can't be on the game, and very likely it would just feel strange for me, and I'm sure it would also feel strange for him, and I thought it's just not really correct to play.
But you didn't speak with him beforehand or anything of that nature, right?
I just knew that
Yeah.
he told me that this would happen,
Yeah.
and so I just made the decision that I'm just going to try to clean up this game. I was sure he wouldn't be opposed to it. He plays Berlin, so it was very easy
Yeah.
to figure out that if I go for this well-known drawish line, that will probably quickly lead to a draw, and that was fine with me. I'm sure it was fine with him too. He's playing black in the last round in an unsuccessful event, so I doubt that he wanted to play that game at all. And yeah, just hope that everything went smoothly with the delivery, which I'm sure it did.
Yeah, and I'm sure probably by the time this podcast is published, he probably will come out with a statement also, I would assume. Yeah, significance. Let's talk about that because, the US Championship is a big one. A national title is always a big one. You've won one in 2016, and yeah, it's been 6 years since. How do you feel about the significance of the title? How important it is for you to win a national title? And do you have any aspirations in general? Like, are you thinking about, oh yeah, I want to win, I want to break some records, I want to win like 5, 6 national titles, or
No.
you're not really thinking about that too much?
I don't know what the record is. I'm not thinking about breaking it. For a long time, this tournament felt like the one that was getting away.
Yeah.
Because every year I was fighting for first. Okay, 2016 I did. 2017 I was in very good shape, and then I lost this absolutely ridiculous game, which got kind of famous because, like, how can you choke this? That was the thing.
Which one?
Against Farouche Hanakobian,
Oh, yeah.
where I'm up 2 pawns.
Wait,
After the time control, 2 pawns, complete control, no imbalances in the position, just
Yeah.
2 connected pass pawns up. And not only do I fail to win this, where, it's after time control, I have like 50 minutes on my clock. I even lose this.
Yeah.
And then I was, I think, +2 at the moment. I would have been +3. I would have been in very good shape. I think I would have been leading. And then just ridiculous. 2018, I had a very good tournament. +5. Sam goes +6. 2019, I was +4 before the last round. But I think Hikaru's +5.
Yeah, is that the one that he ran away with it, or
Well,
was
no,
it
no,
only
it was
20?
he won by half a point, and if I had won the last game, it was a must-win for me. Then I would have tied for first.
Ah, that was the
But
first time when he was kind of an established streamer, and everybody.
2019, I don't know how established he was. He was still, I think, professional.
Yeah,
But I mean, he talked about that a little bit on when we interviewed him on the podcast.
yeah.
He talked about that year and how that was a little bit when he started to move into different areas of chess. But of course, he was still top player. I mean, he still is
he
now.
still is
yeah,
top
he
player.
still is now. But well, like for the 2 years of like 2020, 2021, I don't think we were considering Hikaru, let's say, a top player anymore. Now
Just because he wasn't
made,
playing
he
as
made a
many
very
top
big
events.
comeback.
Yeah.
Also because he wasn't like fully professional.
Yeah.
He was still, let's say, I mean, we understand, of course, his class.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. But he was 27-30. He was a bit out of the top. Now he's back into like top 5. But yeah, he went plus. I needed to beat Sam Shankland in the last round in that tournament. And I tried. Didn't work out. And Hikaru wins. But it was like half a point difference. 2020, I didn't play. I think I mentioned why last night. Why I didn't play that year.
Doesn't matter. Let's put it out there.
And 2021, I played a playoff.
Wait, why didn't you play 2020?
Okay. So the candidates was in March.
Yes.
It would have ended right before the U.S. Championship. I would have had to fly the next day to barely make it with like a 12-hour time difference, and I told them I just can't do this. It's too close. Time difference will be too much, and it's too stressful a tournament to like play back to back.
Yeah.
And then everything got canceled, right? Like all these tournaments that were supposed to happen, candidates midway, postponed, U.S. Championship canceled, other tournaments that I was supposed to play, like the Grand K Classic, canceled. So I told them after that, I told the club, I'd love to play now, whenever it gets resumed. But the invitations are all sent out.
Yeah.
It got resumed in I think it was September or October.
And it was online.
It was online
that year. Yeah.
I was in Norway at the same time, so I don't even know how it would have worked out that they were playing it. Like, I don't think I would have been able to because there was another tournament going on. But I think my replacement became Alejandro. And he like asked me like, I can give up the spot if you really want to play, but I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna ask that of you. So Alejandro played instead. It was online rapid, and
I think
Wesley ends up winning, and I think Irina ends up winning in the women's section. And so that was 2020. I didn't play. In 2021, I went to playoff with Wesley and with Sam Sevian. And I mean, it wasn't a good tournament for me. +2 somehow made the playoff just by like sheer chance.
Yeah, at some point I think you were on minus, right?
I was
like
-1. I lost
-1.
So I'll actually tell a small story about the game that I lost against Daniel Naroditsky, because he's a very, very popular streamer, commentator, chess player.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best
Shout out to
Blitz
Dania.
and Bullet. Yeah, shout out to Dania. He's one of the best Blitz and Bullet players in the world, undoubtedly. I mean, Bullet for sure. Like top 3 in Bullet. I don't maybe it's his bullet skills are incredible, but he's not so active in classical. So it was the first time we played, I think, in like a classical, and it was after the rest day, and on the rest day, I go to get a massage, and then it's a great massage. It's very relaxing. I sleep that night, and
like a baby.
I sleep through in my alarm, and I usually set 3 alarms during tournaments, so I don't ever like have a mishap. I sleep through all my alarms, and at some point I'm like, something's wrong. I'm sleeping too much. Sometime in the morning, I check outside, and it's pretty bright out. I'm like, okay, it could be, but it still feels wrong. I check the clock, my phone, and it's 12:53, and the game started at 1.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck. I get dressed in like 5-6 minutes, and I like ask someone to get me some food, and like get it sent over to the plane hall so I can have some food during the game. And I go there and I play Dania, and I don't know why I just didn't like play it safe. I was like, okay, I'm white. This is an important game for me. I'm not doing amazing, so I need to make a push, and I lose that game.
Wait, but in general, you have a second at these championships. You
Not
didn't
that
have a
year.
second during 2021?
That was after Rustam told me like he doesn't really want to work anymore, and so I wasn't working with anyone.
So you were just like, yeah.
I was starting to work with Vladimir Chuchalov again, but it was only online stuff, and he was like just messaging me. I mean, he was still from home.
Working
Yeah,
from home.
and he was messaging me like, "What's going on? We're supposed to meet this time," and I saw the messages, but after the fact.
So it's too late.
So I mean, a lot of people were messaging me like, "How are like, what's up? You know, what's going on?" Because I'm not answering anything. And yeah, I mean, he played a great game to his credit. I mean, it was once he was better, he just converted very well.
He was playing with black, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah, he played. I
That
wasn't
rook-
sure what to expect
Rook
from
bishop
him.
versus rook knight or something like that at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, bishop against knight. I had the knight.
Yeah.
He played this. I don't know what it's called. Deferred Steinitz, Neo Steinitz, whatever you want to call it. A6 and D6 in the Ruy Lopez. He equalized. Then I got a slight advantage. I was very content with my position, but somewhere lost control, and he cleaned up very nicely once I got into time trouble. So yeah, just small story about that tournament. Not trying to take anything away from.
Actually, I had
of
no
course.
idea about that story. I remember you being late, and I remember somebody bringing you food. If I remember correctly, we thought that it was Levon's girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, I think that Ani was.
Yeah.
Was the one who brought me something.
Some snacks, yeah?
Yeah, something just to survive the game, because you can't just go fresh from sleep, you know. And
But they
start
usually
playing.
have snacks, right?
Yeah, they have some stuff there, but it was also, I think, like half during COVID times.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I think we were still playing with masks then.
Yes, 2021 definitely masks.
It wasn't like the most comfortable. I mean, they still have these stupid things like everything in plastic, like 4 cherries
Yeah.
in a plastic container instead of just putting them on a bowl. I don't know what is going on with that, but instead of just but okay, remnants of the past few years.
I think those are just for them not to go bad, to stay fresh. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I
for
mean,
them just to the
we
ingredients
managed
just
to
stay
keep
fresh.
we managed to keep our blueberries fresh before without the
That is
overuse
true.
of plastic.
It's been many years of fresh blueberries.
And I don't know, maybe blueberries just changed suddenly in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely a very significant event, US Championship. I had a lot of fun. Super tiring though, like 3 weeks. For you, as you were mentioning, maybe it wasn't that tiring towards the end, but for us, it was every day, like 6-7 hours.
What were you doing after commentary? Because we didn't hang out too much during this
No,
tournament.
so for the most part, most days, especially during the week, we were having like dinners with the commentators and Rex and things of that nature. So we basically had to go attend those, and immediately after I was training with Begim, Begim Tohizhanova. So basically, I was busy in the morning training with her, then doing commentary, then busy at night training again. I don't know how your routine looked like in terms of training, but
I think it was a little less hectic because, I mean, you're doing the commentary and the training gig on the side because she's going to Mizzou University.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so
and you're the coach there, so you're doing 2 jobs.
For me, it was basically like 14 hours. I was waking up at 8 and I was finishing at 10, 11 p.m. at night. I'm not complaining too much. I really like it. And I like working with Begim. Begim is a great student. She didn't have a great tournament.
She was doing all right at some point. At the end, she fell off.
She lost against Jennifer with white. And actually, we thought that those were important games for her because she had white in both of them. Jennifer with white, we got a good position out of the open. I'm trying to remember exactly what we got. So Jennifer surprised her with a Petrov. And then the position was more or less equal end game, and then a complete collapse in the end game. That was unfortunate, and I think it took its toll psychologically on her as well. And then actually she played Talia Cervantes, and that was a difficult one as well with white. So we were expecting to at least push in those games.
And those were the players who were fighting for first place at the end.
Yeah.
Jennifer, Talia, and Irina. They
Yeah.
were the last 2 could make it in
Yeah.
the final round.
Yeah. Jennifer had 7 when she played Begim, and Begim had 6.
Mhm.
So with a win, she would have equalized her score.
Yeah, it was. She would have maybe not fought for first place, but for the top places for sure if she had held strong in those critical games.
Yeah. But okay, I mean, things happen. You cannot win them all. Disrespect tweet. Let's talk about that. You had some fun in the middle of the champs with some tweets about Hans, about the decapitation, the disrespect championship. You had a lot of memes going on. How are you
Yeah.
coming up with those ideas?
Well, the disrespect stuff came from Chris for you, and I liked
Oh
it.
yeah, that was a good one.
I thought it was very funny, and I thought the disrespect I mean, it fits, because it's right after all this drama, and okay, we're still in the middle of the drama, right?
Yeah.
With Hans, and I also felt like Hans, he's a player who like values his colleagues' respect.
Mm.
So I thought this word disrespect was funny, because Christopher Yu feels disrespected, Hans feels disrespected by Magnus and Hikaru and maybe us and probably many other people, and so it was a theme, the disrespect of the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else did
I think you had another good one recently, the decapitation one.
Yeah,
That was a moment in history, I have to say.
I'm just riding off the coattails of these young guys who want to create drama. I mean, first Christopher, then okay, Sam Sevian was not trying to create drama. It was just, I think, a blackout. I mean, we already talked about it, but still, it was a funny moment.
So I actually spoke with the arbiter that intervened in that game, Frank Guadalupe, who was the chief arbiter for the open section. And apparently he came, because they already stopped the clock, he restarted their clock. He wanted them to start playing, to continue playing.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about disqualification or penalties, and he said, no, I didn't want to give them any penalties. I just wanted them to continue playing. And then he had to come back because Hans stopped the clock again because Sam kept on talking to him. I don't know what we don't know exactly what they were telling to each other, but Frank got called again and had to restart the clock again because Hans didn't like the
I don't really
chatty
understand
situation.
this arbiter decision. I mean, I know it's mostly, all these decisions are at the discretion of the arbiter.
Yeah.
They basically have this final say. Players can't really argue. But, I mean, Sevian took a piece off the board on his opponent's move and talked to his opponent during the game.
Yeah.
Both of these are big no-nos.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not allowed according to the rules of chess. You can't talk to your opponent besides to offer a draw. And I don't even think you can do that anymore. I think you can basically just, like, call the arbiter
No, definitely you can.
Well, I mean, not in this tournament.
Not in this
You can't
one,
offer a
of
draw
course.
here.
Yeah, not in this one.
So you can just call the arbiter to make a claim of threefold repetition or 50 mover or whatever the claim is. So talking to your opponent is just not allowed, and definitely taking pieces off the board, as far as I know about the rules of chess, is not allowed. So
What's the penalty?
Normally a time penalty, right?
It's like 2 minutes or something like that, probably.
Yeah, whatever whatever the normal time penalty is for. I mean, this counts as an illegal move, I guess. Also, you just take a piece off the board.
I'm trying to remember exactly what move number, if they were still in time trouble at that point.
I think that Sevian didn't have so much time.
Sevian had 4 minutes, but I'm just trying to figure out whether he had made time control at that point or not.
They had.
So they had.
They had.
Huh. That's
This
interesting.
was after move 40.
So in general, you subtract time from Sevian, or do you add to Hans at that point?
I think you add time. You always add time to the opponent.
You add time to Hans, right?
Because if you subtract time from one clock, you just end up with these issues that, like, let's say the rule is that you subtract 1 minute and the guy doesn't have 1 minute, then you end up with a bit of an issue. Like, what's the rule now?
Yeah.
Because you can't just forfeit someone because they don't have enough time, or if they have 5 minutes and the rule is to subtract 5 minutes, like, what do you do? So the rule is always that you add a minute or two to the opponent's clock for these infractions. And maybe it comes with a warning, and then I guess, it's a bit embarrassing, but I don't really know the laws of chess.
That
fully.
also has its flaws, though.
Yeah.
Because you can basically be in time trouble and claim threefold repetition and then get to think while
This is the trick.
Yeah.
But it's kind of unethical, so people don't really
It's
do
a
it.
loophole. I mean, it
Yeah.
happened. I don't know whether it was... It was probably not on purpose, not done on purpose, but it did happen at the Olympiad. I think in a very important match between Russia and China in the
It's
women's
definitely
section.
happened, yeah.
And then who was it? I think Kostyniuk basically had like 5 extra minutes to think, and she had like 30 seconds on her clock.
Yeah, but I think also the unwritten rule is that when there's some sort of dispute, you don't look at the board and you don't think about the position.
Yes, but she was
You don't do that.
focusing,
You can maybe
concentrating.
think about the position in your head, but you don't like stare at the board like you're still playing a game. You get up from the board and you discuss the dispute in progress.
Yeah.
While the arbiters figure out the claim, whatever it is, whether it's threefold, repetition, whether that's correct or not. But if you like make a repetition claim, and then you just start thinking at the board, like if I was an arbiter, I would say you can't do this. Like you have to get up from the board. You
Yeah.
can't just like act concentrated, calculating the position, because then it really feels like you're using this extra time to your advantage. So that's, if I were an arbiter, that would be my position on it.
Any standouts during this event? I think Chris, for me, he was somewhat of a standout. I think he got some super important victories, especially that one against Wesley. That was big. In general, for his confidence, I think that's super important.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Probably didn't win as many rating points, but I think he just understood that he can stay and trade with the big boys, yeah. And this is exactly what I think he said during the interview as well. He was like, yeah, these guys are just human, and you just have to play and give your best. And I think that's an important boost of confidence. He's only 15.
Yeah,
So
he's a good pick for, I wouldn't call it a breakthrough performance, but a good performance.
Yeah,
Definitely. I would say a wonder as well. Bit older.
a Wonder did well, but a Wonder is also a college student. Like I already think his path is kind of.
It might be that he doesn't stick to chess, but you never know. Like Wesley was a college student
That's true.
in like 2015, and then suddenly 2016 he's a professional chess player, and then he's 2770 or 80 or 2800, and you know.
But Wesley went to Webster.
Okay,
I
let's
wonder
not-
is that
let's not,
University of
go
Chicago.
after
Yeah? I mean, these are different type of schools, yeah. They're
Just going after
different
Webster on
levels.
that.
I'm not calling out Webster. I'm just saying University of Chicago is like.
no bias in that.
Forget about the bias, right? University of Chicago is one of the top schools.
Yeah, for
almost borderline Ivy League, right?
For sure.
So yeah.
No, I
it's a
wonder.
bit
Let's say
tougher.
he's probably not going to be professional, but still +2, definitely good performance, very good performance. I would say from like the guys who had a good performance, those were two I would mention. Obviously, a few guys had disappointing performance. Levon, and I would say also Wesley seemed to have. I mean, Wesley scored +1, right?
He finished on +1. He was close to finishing on +2, which actually would have more or less saved his tournament somehow.
Kind of, but yeah, overall disappointment for those two guys.
Wesley losing 14 rating points.
Yeah,
Down
not a good
to
event for him or for Levon.
Levon losing 20 rating points. Yeah, that was pretty painful. 27-34 for Levon right now.
Yeah, hopefully he makes a comeback, but at the moment he's struggling. And from the women's section, I mean, obviously Jennifer, but she's already won it, but still, Jennifer definitely
She's good.
a breakthrough performance as well. Well, maybe we wouldn't say breakthrough because she's pretty established as a good player. I would
She's
say
only
Talia.
20, right? Jennifer, or is she 21?
I think
I think she's only.
21.
No, she's 20.
Yeah,
She played in the juniors. She won actually the juniors.
that's how she got here, right?
That's how she got here,
Yeah.
and then she won the U.S. Championship.
I'd say also Talia
Oh yeah,
Cervantes,
yeah.
because she's not a very well-known player among this group, right? Very established group of chess players, and she's one of the newcomers. I think she's also a newcomer to the United States chess scene, because
She's been around for a while, but yes.
well, I mean, to this, she hasn't played a U.S. championship before. Is
I
that
think
correct?
she played it.
Oh, she did.
Yeah,
Was that
she
last
did.
year?
Last year for sure she played it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think she played also online in 2020.
Okay.
But she definitely played last year.
All right. Well, she had a great tournament here. She was very close to fighting for the top spots. I mean, she was tied with Jennifer in the last
She won
round.
5 in a row.
Yeah, that's great. So those are the two players from the women's section that I would nominate for like a great performance.
Breakout.
Besides Irina,
performances.
but Irina, you know,
We know Irina.
yeah, she's been the best U.S. women's player for I don't know how many years now, but a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, 3 weeks in St. Louis. What's next for you? I think you said you're mentioning you're going to Toronto. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to Toronto to do commentary.
Wait, this pod airs next week, which is the 27th. You're not going to be in Toronto
I won't
by
be in
then.
Toronto yet. It won't have. I don't know exactly when it
So
starts.
you have a couple of weeks before you leave. Are
Yeah.
you gonna, you're sticking around St. Louis?
Haven't fully made plans yet, but I guess I'll stick around for a while. So that'll be fun to watch, and well, for me to
You're doing commentary for that, one, right?
yeah, do commentary for. But as an event, it'll definitely be fun. I wonder. Okay, because we have to mention that today this lawsuit.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to forget
And
about
and
that.
like the event is a chess.com event, so that's why it suddenly reminded me of that. Because
Nice segue.
chess.com has to
Deal
well,
with
I
that.
guess they have to
right
deal
now.
with. I mean, whether the lawsuit has any merit to it or not, they still have to deal with it. And
We're talking about the 100 million per
Well,
head
yeah,
lawsuit against. We don't want to mess anything around here. Let's see. By the way, that was filed in the District Court of Missouri. In
Yeah.
Missouri here.
Eastern Missouri, right?
Eastern Missouri, yeah. Let's see exactly against who. Okay, Magnus, first defendant, Hikaru, chess.com, and I believe Danny Wrench as well.
I don't know why Danny is singled out on this one. I just don't get it. But I like how they gave him the quotations. Daniel, Danny.
Daniel,
Danny.
quotations, Danny Wrench.
Yeah. What's your first thoughts? Because we're not lawyers, but
No.
we can still talk some bullshit about it.
I mean, I think it was more or less a forced move for Hans. I think he had to do it, and I think by staying silent the last few weeks, kind of hinted at the idea of potentially going forward with a lawsuit. Whether I think he's going to be successful, that's a completely different story. And in general, chess.com, whenever they come up with like some big statement, also Magnus, whenever he came with his statement, I think those were thoroughly checked by their lawyers, which I would assume they're pretty decent at their job. So whether there's any flaws in their understanding of whether they think they can get sued, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a long one. I think they have 21 days or something along those lines to respond. That should be.
I think chess.com was prepared for this.
They were, yeah.
I think they this is not coming as
Like
they're
a big
not
shock, yeah?
Yeah, not a big shock. They could have just stayed silent. They didn't have to release that long report
Yeah.
on Hans and leak things on Bluegi and send it all to the Wall Street Journal.
Do you
None
think
of that.
Lugi is going to sue them?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, anything can happen. It's there's so many plot twists. But I think they're prepared. I mean, Hikaru.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Hikaru is also a defender.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have to get a lawyer on this, but
I would assume he already has one.
yeah, I assume so. But I mean, I don't understand. What exactly did Hikaru say? That
Nothing that. Well, I guess it wasn't public at that point. My understanding is that he streamed in front of like 20K people and basically said that Hans cheated in online games, and I don't think that was public at that point. So, and I think he was mentioning it. He was saying, yeah, I don't think this is public. I probably shouldn't say that, but yes, Hans cheated in online games.
okay.
And I think this is a big difference, and I think an important difference. None of these parties said that he cheated in over-the-board chess, except Magnus, who said that he believes that there was more cheating and maybe during their game as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Chess.com said what in their 72-page report? They said they caught him, or at least they think and have evidence that he cheated more than 100 times online. And they hinted at the idea that probably there's some irregularities in over-the-board chess. And I think they mentioned a few games over the board.
I mean, it is a strange world where someone cheats online, gets caught, and then when it's actually told publicly, he sues the people for saying that he broke the rules and made money doing so on the website.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, this is not from a legal standpoint, but feels a little bit of a weird.
So he's suing basically for defamation, right? Slander.
I assume
Things
that
of that
also
nature.
for a few things. I assume also
Libel, slander, alleging slander, civil conspiracy.
Yeah, conspiracy sounds quite serious.
Yeah.
I mean, this relates to the merger, right, between Play Magnus Group and Chess.com.
Ah, okay.
Besides that, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely going to be very unpleasant to go through all this legal stuff, but
Do you think this can backfire
on him,
for Hans?
yeah, of course. I mean,
Like, can he get countersuited?
well, I don't know about that, but I mean, if he doesn't win the suit, he's got to pay the lawyer costs. That's a lot of money, not just his. I assume.
Is that how it works?
I assume so.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that could backfire. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't.
Lawyers are pretty expensive.
I don't
I mean,
know anything
even
about
his
law.
own. I mean, he has a big law firm.
But sometimes
his case.
His own people, they usually offer to do it pro bono and then just take in
Yeah,
case
we don't
you
really
win.
know.
We don't know
we
their
don't know
deal,
this.
obviously.
Yeah, we don't know this.
So we're just
So-
speculating at this point.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I assume it'll develop very, very slowly. These things don't like get resolved within a matter of days, unless. Well, I mean, maybe chess.com will think, okay, settle just to settle just to avoid the trouble.
Really?
But I don't think that Magnus and Hikaru are settling for anything. I mean, they're not going to give Hans any money if they don't have to. Again, I don't know their motivations.
Yeah.
I mean-
right now it's only speculation. I'm sure by the time this pod comes out, we're probably gonna have much more information.
Probably, yeah.
Um,
It might be a fast moving situation. It might be a slow moving situation. We don't know for sure. But it's a risk from his point of view.
You think so?
Well, from Hans for sure.
Yeah.
He probably got advice that he has a case.
Yeah.
I would assume that he does have a case. It's not
Yeah.
nothing. But he's not like a completely innocent party in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like people said that things that he did
There's a lot
that
of
were completely
circumstantial
untrue.
evidence.
I mean,
yeah.
he did.
He did cheat.
Unless he's trying to argue now that he didn't cheat and that
Online,
he
yeah.
was. The Lugi defense was, I didn't cheat, but then I felt pressured into admitting it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Hans is going to go that route. That he's saying I didn't cheat at all and I was just pressured into it by chess.com.
I think it's very difficult to backtrack. I mean, he
But he did
said
also
that
say he
during
said in an
interviews.
interview, right? He
yeah.
said in an interview I cheated.
With Alejandro. I mean,
Yeah.
that was his first interview and
So-
the biggest one.
I assume actually that interview is not good for him.
Probably not.
I don't think that was a good interview in hindsight for him to give. Especially if not everything he said during that interview was 100% true, then
Yeah, and I think he mentioned that he was in discussions with the guys from Vaikanze 2023, which is happening in January, and also a match against Keimer in Germany, and none of those things are going to move forward
he mentioned
because
the
of
match
this.
to us. He mentioned the match against Keimer.
Yeah,
He said I was supposed to play him, and now he's not responding. That's what he said.
yeah,
This was back when I think we were on slightly friendlier terms.
Speaking
with Hans.
terms.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's on. He hasn't really said much to me since the start of this tournament. And then the Vaikanze thing, he was supposed to play the Challengers. There's two groups, right? Challengers, Masters.
hmm
And it was also like maybe Masters dependent on his results in rating. But he was supposed to play the Challengers, and then they just kicked him out, even though he wouldn't play Magnus, because if he's playing the Challengers, Magnus is
He's
the
not playing
Masters.
Magnus. Yeah,
But I guess they just didn't want the drama that comes associated with having Hans at your tournament. I mean, if it were me, I would be like, okay, let's go.
let's get him in. Yeah.
But not all organizers are going to think that way.
Well, he's actually playing Fall Classic. I'm playing that tournament as well. I'm playing the B group. He's playing the A group. So that should be an interesting one. Maybe he's going to withdraw from that. I don't know.
I don't think so.
We're going to have to wait and see.
We actually know that the chess club does have a good relationship with him.
Yes.
We know that even because, like, let's say Rex gave an interview the other
I don't know
day.
about good, but they're not accusing him
No,
of
quite
anything.
quite a decent relationship
I would
with him.
assume, yeah.
So the Fall Classic is here. It's organized by a chess club. I think he'll play it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that should be a good tournament as well. Cool. All right. I mean, we have a closing ceremony to catch. We have a speech well, you have a speech to give, so I think it's about that time to close the pod. It's been a fun one, and we're going to be back at it in a week or so. Probably we're going to be doing a lot of things live. We've been enjoying the live ones quite a lot, so keep an eye on that. And yeah, congratulations once again, man.
Thank you.
Big victory, second one, 2 times, back to back. Not back to back, but
if you're asleep for 5 years, then it's back to back.
Back to back if you are asleep for Friday. Okay, all right. That's it. Good. See you next time. Cheers.